Hello from the Bureau with an update on the continuing active weather across tropical northern Australia. Over the past week, we've seen heavy rain and flooding around Townsville, followed by heavy rain and widespread flooding across northwest Queensland. And as we head into the second half of this week, attention swings back towards the north tropical coast, where we've seen heavy rain falling overnight. This includes 313 millimetres at Davidson Creek, 228 millimetres at Tully and 151 millimetres at Innisfail. River catchments are already well primed after recent rainfall, and so we've seen rivers rise overnight. There's currently a moderate flood warning in place for the Tully River and a host of minor flood warnings current for other river systems. A broader flood watch remains in place for coastal river catchments between Ingham and Cooktown, with plenty more rain on the way. Further heavy falls are expected along parts of the North Tropical Coast over the next 24 to 48 hours, and depending on final rainfall totals, we may start to see some major river flooding concerns develop. Now, we've got a strong ridge of high pressure to the south and a trough extending across Cape York into the Coral Sea, where the monsoon is beginning to strengthen. And between these two systems, we're seeing the isobars just contract somewhat, so we're seeing these winds strengthen and wet and windy conditions develop along the coast in southeasterly winds. Now back to the west, where rain is continuing across northwest Queensland, where pastoralists have seen the best falls in years. But there are flooding concerns as well, with a host of minor to major flood warnings for Gulf country and inland river systems, where we've seen disruption to transport as well as isolation of some communities. The Bureau's flood forecasters are currently closely watching for any further impacts that continued heavy rain around the Gulf country may have on top of rivers that are already on the rise. We're going to see the low and an upper trough connected to it gradually move to the west over the coming days. So we'll see rain spread from the east to the west across the territory, which is a little unusual to go in that direction. And so there's a flood watch in place for parts of the western, central and eastern inland areas of the territory. Pastoralists in the Barkly will finally see some decent rain after a relatively dry wet season so far, with up to 100 millimetres possible in the east and up to 50 millimetres across the west by Saturday. And southern parts of the territory could see up to 150 millimetres of rain in total. Focus will be back on the Gulf though for the weekend, where we may see another low develop over open water along the monsoon trough. Now this one's worth keeping an eye on. It's still several days away yet, but conditions in the atmosphere do look favourable for the possible development of a tropical cyclone, so long as the low stays over water. Now, although we've got increasing confidence in the development of this low over the Gulf during the weekend, beyond that it's still far too early to be confident of how much it may intensify or in which direction it may move. But with such a busy week of weather across the north of the country, stay tuned to the latest official forecasts and warnings on our website and app. Join us on Twitter for updates direct from the Bureau's weather and flood teams, and follow all advice from emergency services.